Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video. I asked you guys yesterday in the T44 100 video what you guys would like to see on my channel, and you came through and I can't thank you enough for that. Somebody has asked me to drive the Independent, which I do not own at the moment, although that is something I'm more than happy to get around to doing eventually. However, somebody else, I'm really sorry I can't remember your name, asked me if I would do a comparison video between the Sherman Firefly and the French SA50, or is it SA40, the Super Sherman. So as you can probably guess, looking at the footage in front of you, that is why we're here today. We're going to do a comparison. Now what I've done is I've gotten gameplay footage for both the tanks, and I'm going to record a piece like this as I'm doing it live right now, and basically go over the statistics, how they differ, where they're the same, and then just commentate over the video, the gameplay footage, like I normally would. Hopefully this is satisfactory for you guys, but of course let me know down in the comments section and we can go from there. So let's start with the Sherman Firefly, as we're already on the Sherman Firefly. This thing has the 76mm QF 17-pounder cannon, a gun that anybody at this sort of tier in British Ground Forces will be intimately familiar with. Smoke grenade launcher, which fires 6 grenades. I think it's a single grenade launcher though, kind of like what you get on the Tigers. A 50 caliber M2 HB machine gun, good old Browning 50 caliber machine gun, and 7.62 Browning 30 caliber machine gun in the coax. A turret rotation speed of 17.2 degrees per second, minus 5 degrees of gun depression, 25 degrees of elevation, a reload rate of 7.1 seconds. The armour we'll go over in a minute. The mass of 31.5 tons, 425 horsepower engine, 41 kilometers per hour top speed. Basically a Sherman with a big ass gun slapped on it, which is all the Firefly really was. It was designed to knock out Tigers from 2 kilometers away, so it does its job rather well. Let's take a look at the armour. So, ignoring the track space armour that you get on this tank, the front of the hull, the front of the upper hull, is 50.8mm thick, with the lower plate being the same. The driver's ports and the machine gunner's ports, bow gunner's ports, are also the same. The front of the gun mantlet is the same, but the sides of the turret are 76.2mm thick, with the actual sides of the turret, that may get a bit confusing, being 50.8mm thick. Sides of the hull, 38.1, with the tracks adding an additional 20mm of armour on top. Not that that makes a world of difference. 50.8 on the side of the turret. On the rear, 38.1. The rear of the turret itself is 50.8, with the box on the back as well, so 50.8 on the sides and rear of the turret basically. Top of the tank, we're looking at 12.7mm on the rear of the engine deck, and 25.4 on the top of the turret. Fairly straightforward. So let's take a look at the French Sherman. So the M4A4 SA50, the French Super Sherman, originally an Israeli design. Why it's on the French tree I don't know, but any excuse to have an Israeli tank in the game is fine by me. 75mm gun, 0.1 of a millimeter, well 1mm smaller, but that doesn't really make much difference. L57 SA50, 75mm gun. L57 refers to the length. Looking at the length, I'd say it's about the same length as the 17-pounder, so velocity wise it should be pretty similar. 7.62mm in the coax, but no 50 caliber machine gun. Turret rotation speed of 17.4 degrees per second, which I do believe is slower. Let's just quickly, where is it? God damn it, Red, what are you doing? 17.2 for the Firefly, 17.4 for the SA50. Very close, 0.2 of a second in it, so near enough the same. The gun depression on the French tank, however, is better, but the elevation is the same. The reload rate is slower at 9.2 seconds. Hull armour, according to the sheet, is more at the front, but we'll have a better look in a second. Actually, let's just do it now while we're here. It is indeed thicker on the front. The gun mantlet is made up of 3 different pieces, but it is thicker. Front of the turret is that part of the turret is the same, I think. Side armor is the same. Side of the turret is a little bit more. It's 50.8, I think, wasn't it? Was it 58.1? Yeah, it was. On the side of the Firefly, 38. Yeah, it's substantially more on the side of the French one. As for the rear, 38.1. So rear of turret is also more. Top of the turret, however, I think is the same at 25.4 millimeters thick. This tank weighs less, I think. 34. I'm really sorry, my memory is dreadful, so I'm gonna have to keep going back. No, it weighs more. Weighs about 3.2 tons more, with a more powerful engine though, which would make up for the difference in weight. Slower top speed at 38 kilometers per hour. Yeah. Okay, let's quickly look at the shells. So, standard shell for the SA50, 163 millimeters of penetration at 100 meters on a flat angle. 176 on the APCB C shell, and on the Firefly, shot mark 6, 157, so the standard shell is less. 160 on that one, 168 on that one. So the upgraded shell on the SA50 has a better penetration. Being an APCB-C shell, the post-pen effects will be pretty good as well, not like that solid shot crap that the British have a fucking fetish for using. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as what I can tell you in the hangar, so let's jump on into the gameplay. I hope you guys enjoy this video. As I said at the beginning, if this isn't quite what you meant and you want me to do it in another way, please let me know. Although I think this pretty much covers all the bases. So, let's get into the gameplay. So here we are with the gameplay footage, and the Firefly is first. We are on one of the desert maps that I can't remember the name of, and we are in the town, near the aid capture point. The Firefly is somewhat, well, both of the Shermans are mobile. I mean, they're based on the Sherman hull. They're going to be reasonably mobile no matter how much weight they've put on due to their guns. Why this T-34 decides to back around the corner when he knows I'm here is beyond me. But, it's his funeral. Yeah, why the Shermans decided, why, god damn it, why, you know, you expect the vehicles to not be mobile due to their weight is kind of a misnomer when you consider that they're both based on the same hull, the M4A4 hull. Now, we don't actually have the M4A4 standard Sherman in the game, we only have the Firefly and the SA50. There was a version of the Sherman with the short 75mm gun, or 76mm gun, depending on which year it was made, which would have had the M4A4 hull with the 2 raised hatches for the driver and the bow machine gunner. Those are technically weak points, just because they're not sloped as much, but they have the same thickness as the rest of the front of the hull, as we have seen. So, at range, it won't really matter, but at close range, if somebody can quickly snap their gun barrel around and fire through one of those vision ports, you may just lose your tank quite quickly. But again, this is the same with both of the tanks. So, moving forward a little bit more, we have captured the zone and found a cheeky little ZSU-37. One shot straight through the frontal plate, takes out quite a few of his crew. His engine, his transmission, his radiator, his driver, yeah. That was a very bad place for him to be. There is a tank capping B, so we're going to go and see what that is, using the mobility of our Firefly to its advantage, or at least to our advantage, and making up as most ground as possible in the shortest amount of time. The Firefly, I quote, "Make the Firefly great again." Yeah, please don't ever reference Donald Trump on my channel, that man is an absolute twat. But, yeah, so much for staying away from politics, Red, well done. Yeah, I've never really loved the Firefly as much as you'd expect, which is probably why my SA50 has a talisman on it and my Firefly does not. The only reason the Firefly is spaded whereas my SA50 is not is because I've played the Firefly more and it's been around longer. I don't hate the Firefly, please don't think that. I like the Firefly, but the extra 5 degrees of gun depression you get on the SA50, despite the slower reload, really does make up the difference for me. I mean, you'll see in the next clip after I get taken out. So now we go to the M4A4 SA50 Super Sherman. We are on the jungle map and we are taking one of my favourite routes around this map, which is the extreme flank around the map border flank area. I imagine most people who are watching this video will be all too familiar with this tactic, but for those of you who don't know, if you spawn in the western side of the map in the south, it is possible to go around the border, or those wall things to my left, the tank trap things to my left, and come up behind the enemy spawn, or pretty much come up by the enemy spawn. This is of course assuming that the enemy doesn't bother sending any players down here themselves. There's an 88 flak bus over there, which will be a prime target for my gun. One shot is all I shall need. That was a somewhat lucky shot, if I'm honest. I was aiming for the engine block, but I'll take a kill. A kill's a kill at the end of the day. Thankfully, due to the cap not being anywhere near this area, if this was a triple cap game, then there would be more players here defending the A capture zone, which would be across the river to my left. But as this is only a single cap game and the capture point is further up north, nowhere near as many people come around this way as I was expecting. And those that do, don't push. The flak bus was sat there to, I assume, stop people from coming out of our spawn and driving down that flank. But he hadn't noticed me using the, extreme flank outside around the map border tactic. So thankfully I managed to get the shot off first. Due to the mobility of the Sherman hull in general, this is a fantastic tactic to use with either the Firefly or the SA50. But as this is the SA50, it's quite easy to take advantage of a Panzer IV that is just sat there, minding his own business. One shot destroys his engine and most of his crew, second shot finishes the tank off, and we will continue pushing forward. If this was a triple cap game, I would not be being anywhere near as ballsy as this. I do try my best to stop myself from pushing continuously because I know it really does get me in a mess. But in this particular situation, I figured as the cap, like I said, was up north and not very many people will have come this way, otherwise I would have run into more people than I have. I would have stayed toward the entrance to this sort of flanking area and sniped at vehicles coming across, but ooh, a KV-1B. A tank that I really need, but, well, I really want one, but I'm all too happy to shoot at one should I be given the opportunity. I don't know if this guy is unaware of this location that I'm currently sat in and whether tanks can be up here, but he sure as hell doesn't know where I am. First shot takes out his transmission and stops him in his tracks, pun intended. Second shot sets his engine on fire. He isn't turning the turret towards me, second engine fire. I do think about going for the turret, but by the time my reload comes in, there's a disadvantage for the slower reload. He put the fire out and rotated the turret again. Third shot sets the engine on fire for the third time. I was thinking about shooting for the turret, but I'll take a punt anyway. I knew that wasn't going to kill him because he's still got two crews sat in the front of the hull. But with his engine burning up, it was only a matter of time. With no fire extinguishers, he wasn't long for this world. I am now going to push up north, so we'll skip out that little bit there. So I am now up on the hill. I'm not near the enemy spawn per se, but I'm in an advantageous situation, or at least an advantageous position. I've managed to get myself into such an area where I can shoot at enemy tanks, leaving their spawn. Totally not spawn camping, by the way. And shoot at vehicles at range that may not know where I am, such as this Panzer IV F2. First shot goes through the turret ring, takes out the machine gunner, and a few of the turret crew. I wish I'd taken that shot a little bit better, but if he's just going to come driving around the corner anyway, yeah. I thought that guy was going to escape, but he didn't. So what else can we see? There's an SPAA leaving their spawn. That is it's either an Ostwind or a Verbal Wind. I think that's a Verbal Wind. Yep, there it goes. The one shot straight through the front of the hull. No match for this gun whatsoever, especially with that APC-BC shell. Now I can see the tracers, but I haven't realised yet that there is an enemy Verbal Wind sat 20 meters away from me. I don't know how he didn't realise I was there. But, yeah. That probably should have killed him. It hit the ammo rack, took out the track, but that was about it. Second shot goes through the turret. There's something else shooting at me. I'm not long for this world in this position, but I don't know where that tank shooting at me is at the moment. I'm assuming he's at the top of the hill. But he's not. He's hiding, doing much the same as I am. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Like, share and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.